What's up, everybody? You are tuned in to the late night channel Eps. I'm your host, EEPMON, and today I would like to talk about failures. And I know we've all heard about people talking about failures and how that builds character and humility. And yes, it's true. It is true. To be a creative entrepreneur or to engage the world in your own endeavors, success is one part of the equation, and failure is the other. These are like two spectrums, or two ends of a spectrum. And I believe that in order to fully grasp what is called experience, it would be very naive to believe that everything that one does is always, bells and whistles, success and amazement. Failure is integral and required in order to, as I mentioned, build character, build experience, humility, and keep yourself level-headed and grounded. There has been many occasions or stories I've heard where people always bask in, what's the word? Success, fame, fortune, everything, eye on the prize. But then when that disappears and when that doesn't happen, they're at a complete loss and they don't know how to deal with it because the euphoria of all the greatness, perceived greatness, suddenly disappears, and then they're like, oh my goodness, I have nothing left. Or they'll get into depression and they have anxiety and like, oh, the world doesn't care about me anymore. There are instances of that, but what they fail to realize is that this is normal. This is part of the process. It's a part of the process in life. Life has its patterns, just like the seasons, just like the rise and tides, the cyclic nature of the orbits of the planets. I know I'm going a bit too far there, but it's true. What goes up must come down, and the cycle continues. These are very important, and if you and one can observe the holistic nature of such patterns, you will realize that it's a natural phenomenon. And if you have that sort of positive thinking and like in this sort of mindset, you can be sure that you're on your way to a upward, not a linear trajectory, but a upward trajectory. But know that the trajectory of getting there will always be volatile, with ups and downs. Sometimes very, very down, maybe lots of downs before you get a high up. But that is the nature of things. Now, I want to give you a couple examples of my own experience of how I experienced failure. And I remember one that was still like ingrained in my mind was, I think it was 2009 or 2010. I remember I mentioned in my previous episode that I was in Tokyo, I think 2009, and I had an opportunity to do a live performance, digital art performance, like interactive, that combined generative arts response to live performance music. Like it was like it was really, really awesome. It was like almost like a dream come true for me to do this live performance piece. And of all places, I've always wanted to do some creative performance, digital art, music at a venue. And of all the venues, like the one that that I did it at was in a place called Yamaha. Yamaha, the company Yamaha, but they have this incredible building. They just opened a new retail store in Ginza. So Yamaha Ginza was where I did my performance, digital art, painting, no, not painting, but digital art projection that's in collaboration with two respectable Japanese musicians. And I remember working on it, and I was okay. I'm going to develop this program. Basically, this program was supposed to be like an instrument, and based on the sounds and based on these different, inputs, it's supposed to. I will be able to control the output of the of what the program projects onto the projection. I kind of left things to the last minute, and I was overconfident. I was like, okay, I got this. I can make these program, blah blah blah. I have everything going on, making it all happen. Um, you know, I just assumed too much that I was able to achieve what needed to be done. But then I remember even the curator, she told me, like, are you fooling around? Are you really doing what you're doing? And I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. I got this, no problem, easy. But I overestimated and was overconfident, that the day of the rehearsal, I met the musicians. Like it was supposed to be me and another musician, but that musician invited another person that I wasn't anticipating. And when we had that rehearsal, that second guy was a complete snob. He was a complete egotistic individual. Like, he literally, bad vibes from this guy. This guy thought he was the the king, si blah blah, and like this guy was just, I couldn't believe the attitude of this individual. So that really threw off the vibe and threw off the entire experience. Okay, and that wasn't cool. But then, so this was my first ever kind of like performance live thing in this caliber. Okay, Tokyo, Yamaha Ginza, digital art projection with live music, like that. Okay, and then we did a bit of a rehearsal, but we didn't really have time to really go through it thoroughly because this guy was just like was a complete, I want to swear, but I better not, because the YouTube algorithm, they say that if it detects anything, I don't know. But anyway, so that wasn't good. The day of the event, okay, and this is a paid event, by the way. People would pay, I think, 3,000 yen or something like that. That was like, what, at the time, like $40 Canadian, because the yen was stronger than the Canadian dollar back then. And when I went there were people, literally, like, it was in Yamaha Ginza, so it was a beautiful venue. Like, inside, it's beautiful, like this, like, modern. It was like what you would expect with a performing venue, Ginza, like in Japan. It's a beautiful place. Okay, modern, beautiful, very very high up in the building, because it's quite a tower, and of course, like, in Ginza, it's like one of the prime locations in Tokyo, right? And then, so it still hurts to this day because I have a hard time expressing it. So bear with me, because every time I think about it, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, so I did so we started the performance, and a slew of like technical difficulties plagued my program. Okay, I forgot to turn off the screensaver mode. So when we were doing that, like, literally, like 5 minutes or 6 minutes into the performance, suddenly my Mac OS X screensaver turned on. It was just that that wavy screensaver thing on, and I couldn't control. I was using my Bluetooth keyboard to do something, but it wouldn't respond. The connection was bad, and maybe because it was too far away. And then I went to it. I went to the computer. I tried to click on it, and it completely was. I was trying to log in, didn't work. Oh my god! And then people were wearing kimonos, like wearing formal, and oh my goodness, it was a complete disaster. I couldn't get out of this one because everyone knows what an OS like a Mac OS X like screensaver was, and I it was a complete failure, and it was so embarrassing. Not only that, like the curator, like I made the curator look bad, I made the artist look bad, and that guy, the other musician who thought he was like a complete snob, was even more like just it just wasn't a good feeling. He exacerbated the whole situation because I screwed up big time. So he's like, who is this EEPMON guy? Is this some amateur guy? Why am I even doing this? Then I'm thinking, why are we here in the first place? Like, we never I never invited you. It was your musician connection invited you. It's like whatever. But anyway, I remember that day, and it was awful because I failed everybody. I was overconfident. The people who took the time to get dressed, be paid for the event, attended the event, like it was horrible. And I felt the curator, felt the musicians, and I was in shock. I was in shock. So much so that on my way back to the residence I was staying at the time, like I was in shock, and I profusely apologized to the curator, and I was crying. I was teared up. I was like, I'm sorry, like I really messed this one up. I can't believe that I no words to describe how I felt, because this was also my dream shot. It was like my opportunity to show the Tokyoites, people from ad agencies, people from the art industry, fine art industry, respectable individuals that the curator had assembled. It was embarrassing. So that, and my dream of continuing doing such things in splendid venues of Tokyo was shot, and I was scarred. And to this day, I continue to think about this, and as I mentioned, it gets me. So that's why, so it's a learning experience, right? And I'm sure back then I wouldn't be surprised that I was forgiven and they understood. But it was I look back and I never forgot that. And again, like I remind myself that when I'm working on a project, no matter performance or not, or whatever it is, that I ensure that I don't screw up again, that I don't do that I don't be overconfident or assume that certain things are I shouldn't be assuming anything during a project development cycle or development until I know I've communicated and I have done the due diligence that needs to be done for whatever. Even if I delegate the task to another person to handle it, and with the trust that they will fulfill it, I still need to follow up because it's my project, it's my responsibility, and I cannot. I'm not micromanaging or anything, but I don't want to assume that. I want to make sure that the communication lines are intact. That's why I say communication is so important. You artist people out there, you got to communicate. You got to make sure you do a good job in that, because that communication is, like, as I mentioned in my previous episodes, at least half the battle, if not 70 to 80% of the battle. Because I screwed up so bad that time, and perhaps that also really helped shape who I am today. That experience, and among others, there are other situations, but that one particular stung the most. Because remember I told you, I was like, my dream was like, if these amazing digital creators from all over the world can convene at a 3-day conference to talk about cool stuff that they're passionate about, being invited to go and talk about great things, that they're doing. Like, if they can do it, so can I. If they can do it, so can I. And that was my chance of the so can I, going to Japan back in 2009 to do an art performance. And guess what? I screwed up. But you know what? Thinking back, I have no regrets. Okay, I mean, back, I'm sure I was like, man, I should have done this. But again, this thinking, this I should have. This is sort of the learning lessons, the growing pains that is required to be a better person, to be a better creator, to be a better creative entrepreneur. So that's why failures are so humbling. And I hope that if you go through a situation where where the outcome, the expectation does not go to what you anticipated, like it wasn't the outcome that you wanted, and you feel distraught and feel despair and all that, take a step back and go assess what just happened, own it, be accountable, be responsible, and think about what had transpired, what could be done better, how you would address it in the next iteration. So if you were to do that again or do something similar, that's very important. I think that is the most important takeaway. If you were to have such a situation, it's gonna sting, it's gonna hurt, but this is actually required. You have to grow. You got to grow up, and I did. Woo, that was hard. Woo, kind of sweating already. Hope you like what I just talked about. One of my failures. I'm just being complete, transparent, honest. And if you like what I had to say, please like, subscribe, comment. Anything you want me to talk about, let me know on the comment section. I hope you have a great day, a great evening, a great afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is EEPMON on failures. Have a great night.